A tale of two podcasts. Trump's triumph, Harris's tumble. The numbers don't lie. In the world of digital media, numbers are everything. They tell the story of who is winning the hearts and minds of the public. Donald Trump, fresh off a ban from Twitter, went on my podcast and pulled in a massive audience. It was a strategic move, leveraging the power of the podcast to bypass traditional media. 17 million people tuned in to hear what he had to say. That's huge. It's a testament to his enduring influence and the curiosity he still sparks among the public. It's bigger than most cable news shows, bigger than any political rally. This kind of reach is unprecedented in the podcasting world, showing just how powerful this medium has become. It's the power of the podcast, man. Direct connection, no filter. People crave authenticity, and podcasts provide that unfiltered, raw connection that traditional media often lacks. Now compare that to Kamala Harris. She too ventured into the podcasting world, hoping to tap into a new demographic. She went on Call Her Daddy, a podcast popular with young women. Good for her, right? It seemed like a smart move to engage with a younger, more diverse audience, reaching out to a new audience. It's a strategy that makes sense on paper, but execution is everything. But the numbers were a fraction of Trump's, a tiny fraction. Despite the effort, the reach just wasn't there. It got people talking, but not in a good way. The buzz was more about the disparity in engagement rather than the content of her message. The mainstream media loved it, but did it resonate with everyday Americans? Not so much. The disconnect was palpable. This is a problem for the Democrats. They need to find a way to break through the noise and genuinely connect with people. They're losing the media war. The traditional methods aren't cutting it anymore. They're stuck in their echo chamber, talking to the same people, preaching to the choir. It's a cycle that needs to be broken. Meanwhile, Trump is out there on podcasts, on social media, connecting with people directly. He's using every tool at his disposal to stay relevant. He's speaking their language, talking about the things they care about. It's a strategy that resonates deeply with his base. It's a whole different ballgame. The rules have changed, and those who adapt will thrive. This isn't about Democrat or Republican. It's about understanding the new media landscape. It's about reaching people where they are. In today's world, that means being present on the platforms they use daily. It's about understanding how media works in the 21st century. The digital age has transformed how we consume information. The old playbook is dead. Clinging to outdated methods will only lead to failure. The future is podcasts, it's social media, it's direct engagement. Those who master these tools will lead the conversation. And right now, Trump is winning that game. He's setting the pace, and others need to catch up or risk being left behind. So, what did Trump and I talk about? Everything. We talked about UFOs, we talked about the border, we talked about the JFK assassination, we talked about healthy food, for God's sake. It was a wide-ranging conversation, the kind you don't hear in traditional media. No teleprompters, no handlers, just two dudes talking. People were blown away. They'd never heard a politician talk like that before. Trump wasn't afraid to speak his mind, to be funny, to be real. He wasn't afraid to challenge the mainstream narrative, and that's what people are hungry for. They're tired of the spin, the BS, the carefully crafted sound bites. They want authenticity. Now, I know Trump is a polarizing figure. People love him or hate him. But there's no denying that he knows how to connect with an audience. He understands the power of storytelling, of humor, of speaking directly to people's emotions. He's a master showman, and he used that skill to great effect on my podcast. The media went nuts, of course. They couldn't believe I'd have him on. They accused me of giving him a platform, of normalizing his views. But that's not my job. My job is to have interesting conversations, to explore different perspectives. And love him or hate him, Trump is nothing if not interesting. The reaction to Trump's appearance on my podcast was swift and predictable. The left went ballistic. They couldn't believe that so many people would tune in to listen to him. They couldn't believe that he was able to control the narrative, to set the agenda. They were scared, and they should be, because it exposed a major weakness in their strategy. They've been so focused on controlling the traditional media, on silencing dissenting voices, that they've lost touch with a huge segment of the population. They've forgotten how to talk to ordinary people. Now they're scrambling to catch up. They're realizing that they need to find a way to reach the people who are tuning into podcasts, who are getting their news from social media, and they're looking to Kamala Harris to do it. There's been a lot of talk about Harris coming on my show. Some people think it's a good idea. Some people think it's a disaster waiting to happen. I say bring it on. I'm always up for a good conversation. But here's the thing. Harris can't just come on my show and expect to win people over by reciting talking points. She needs to be real. She needs to be authentic. She needs to show people who she is, what she believes in, and why they should care. Section 4. Beyond the Beltway. New Media, New Voters. In this section, we delve into how the evolving media landscape is reshaping the way voters receive information and how politicians must adapt to these changes. The media landscape has changed dramatically over the past decade. Gone are the days when people relied solely on traditional news outlets for their information. It's not just about CNN and Fox News anymore. It's about podcasts, it's about YouTube, it's about social media. These platforms have democratized information, allowing anyone with an internet connection to become a content creator. It's about people getting their information from a variety of sources, each offering a unique perspective. This diversification means that news consumption is no longer a one-size-fits-all experience. Many of these sources are outside the control of the traditional gatekeepers, such as major news networks and newspapers. This shift has empowered individuals to seek out information that resonates with their personal beliefs and interests. This is a good thing. It means that there are more voices being heard, more perspectives being shared. The digital age has given a platform to those who were previously marginalized or ignored by mainstream media. It means that there are more voices being heard, more perspectives being shared. This diversity of thought is crucial for a healthy democracy, as it encourages debate and critical thinking. It means that people are no longer forced to rely on a handful of corporations to tell them what to think. Instead, they can explore a multitude of viewpoints and form their own opinions based on a broader spectrum of information. But it also presents a challenge for politicians. In this new media environment, they must find innovative ways to connect with voters who are scattered across various platforms. They can no longer rely on the old ways of doing things. The traditional press conference or press release is no longer sufficient to capture the attention of a digitally savvy electorate. They can't just put out a press release and expect it to be picked up by the evening news. Instead, they need to engage with voters in real time, using the same platforms that their audience frequents. They need to be more creative, more engaging, and more in touch with the way people are consuming information. This means producing content that is not only informative, but also entertaining and shareable. They need to be more in touch with the way people are consuming information. This involves understanding the nuances of each platform and tailoring their message to fit the medium. This is especially true when it comes to reaching younger voters. Millennials and Gen Z are not just passive consumers of information, they are active participants in the digital world. Millennials and Gen Z are the most digitally connected generations in history. They have grown up with the internet and are adept at navigating the complexities of the digital landscape. They get their news from social media, they listen to podcasts, they watch videos online. These platforms offer them a more interactive and engaging way to consume information. They're not watching cable news, and they're certainly not reading newspapers. Traditional media outlets are struggling to capture the attention of these younger audiences, and they're certainly not reading newspapers. The decline in print media is a clear indication that younger generations prefer digital formats. Politicians who want to reach these voters need to go where they are. This means having a strong presence on social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. They need to be on the platforms where they're spending their time. Engaging with voters on these platforms requires a different approach, one that is more personal and interactive. They need to be speaking their language, using their mediums, engaging with their culture. This means understanding the trends, memes, and issues that matter to younger voters, and addressing them in a way that feels authentic and relatable. Section 5. Reaching the Rogan realm, men, millennials, and the middle ground. My audience is different. It's a unique blend of individuals who don't fit neatly into any one category. It's not just the stereotypical Bernie bro or Trump train crowd. It's a mix of people from all walks of life, each bringing their own perspectives and experiences. It's a lot of regular people, guys, who work with their hands, entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, veterans. These are individuals who are deeply engaged in their own lives and communities, yet often feel overlooked by mainstream narratives. People who are curious about the world, who are open to new ideas, who are looking for something different. They crave conversations that challenge their thinking and broaden their horizons. And yeah, a lot of them are men. Men who are seeking a space where they can express their thoughts freely without judgment. Men who feel like they're not being spoken to by the mainstream media, who feel like their concerns are being ignored. They are tired of the same old rhetoric and are looking for something more genuine. They're looking for someone who understands them, who speaks their language, who isn't afraid to challenge the status quo. They want a voice that resonates with their own experiences and frustrations. That's why Trump's appearance on my podcast was so successful. He tapped into this undercurrent of discontent and spoke directly to it. He connected with these guys. He addressed their real-world issues and didn't shy away from the tough topics. He talked about the things they care about: jobs, the economy, immigration, national security. These are the issues that impact their daily lives and futures. He didn't talk down to them, he didn't lecture them, he just talked to them. He treated them with respect and acknowledged their concerns as valid. This is a huge opportunity for Democrats if they're smart enough to seize it. They need to recognize the value in engaging with this demographic. They need to stop writing off these voters as deplorables or white nationalists. Such labels only serve to alienate and divide. They need to start listening to them, engaging with them, understanding their concerns. It's about building bridges and finding common ground. And they need to find a way to do it without being condescending or patronizing. Authenticity and respect are key, because these guys can spot a phony a mile away. They are looking for real, honest dialogue. They want authenticity. They want honesty. They want someone who's going to fight for them. They want to feel heard and understood, and they want to know that their voices matter in the larger conversation. This is the middle ground where real change can happen. It's a space where diverse voices can come together, share their stories, and find common solutions to the challenges we all face. By reaching out to this audience, we can build a more inclusive and understanding society, one where every voice is valued and every concern is addressed with empathy and action. So let's continue to have these important conversations. Let's keep pushing the boundaries and exploring the middle ground.